No, there's no spiders here, said the people we pay $30 a month.
Yeah, there's a spider.
Yeah, there's the big ass spider. They came Friday to spray. Because Christy called to cancel.
No.
Because we have spiders.
I'm sure it's just water then it is in the can. Welcome to Bonehead.
Welcome to Bonehead.
That was again behind the scene footage for
Where
your
there are
love
no
gift.
spiders.
For your love gift of $1,000, we'll give you more behind the scene footage.
For your love gift of $1,000, I'll get somebody to come kill these fucking spiders. I'm done.
For your love gift of $2,000, we'll pay somebody to bring in more
You
spiders.
scared the spider because it literally just.
I'm so sorry, 18-eyed, 42-leg fuck that I scared
As
you.
long as it's not on my fucking leg, I don't give.
Actually, I don't. Spiders bother you?
Depends. Not really, but if they're on me, I might get a little jumpy.
I mean, I'll kill it.
Yeah, I'll kill it, but at first I'll go. "Ah!
How'd that go again?
Ah!"
Nah, welcome to Bonehead.
So I'm back from outer space.
Yeah, where were you last week?
I was in Florida, bitches.
Did you have a good time?
I had a great time.
Generally, the girls have a good time?
They had a good
How many
time.
days did you go to Disney?
One, we just went to the Halloween thing.
Well, I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay.
All right,
forgive
then.
you.
Why do you do this?
I don't know.
All right.
But I did to your all's repeat some of the stuff you all
Did you
talked
go at
about.
4?
Huh?
Did you go at 4?
Oh yes. I went at 4. We stayed till damn near midnight, 12:30.
Really? I
Yeah.
closed it at 12:30 once, but I didn't have a 3-year-old.
Yeah, she was still going too. She didn't want to leave. I had to drag her out.
Mm,
But
fell asleep in the car, though.
yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't even make it out of the parking lot, did they?
Abby did. Haley walking out. Sorry, this might be boring, but
I don't care. They were bored 57 episodes ago.
we were she was in our stroller and I was wheeling her out of the park and she says, "Daddy, I don't have to go to bed anytime soon." No, I'm like, "Well, you kind of need to go to bed when we get back to the hotel." "Well, I'm not going to bed now." 2 seconds later, out.
Abby or
Haley,
Haley?
my youngest.
Yes. All right.
He went to Florida. I, meanwhile, listened to Flo Rida.
Why
because
is
I
James
kept-
looking to his left?
I have no idea.
He did the same thing with the NFL episode.
I'm
the
sorry.
camera?
The camera's here, but I have 3 monitors, and y'all are on monitor 1.
What the hell are you doing with 3 monitors?
I only have 2.
I only have 2 as well.
Research.
Why did I ask for 3.
You want me to see if I move it? Would it make you happy? I don't know if the cord's going to reach. I don't know. Oh, will it? Oh, is it going to stay there?
Yeah,
No,
but that's
stay
lovely
still.
for our podcast listeners.
Yeah.
No, yeah. You listen. Joe went on a 30-minute rant about his spider collection. I can.
18 legs and 46 eyes. You freak.
Hold on. Oh no!
Oh my God! Why did
You
we
could have
do
just
this?
left it alone.
No! I don't want Joe to be upset. I don't want.
I'm trying to make sure that
oh,
we
oh.
stay puffed in every episode.
Yeah.
See, it's crooked.
This is, see, for people who are watching us and not listening to us right now, I'm showing the Stay Puft, and well, actually,
better?
reverse that, flip
Yeah.
it, and
Now I'm gonna look over
This
here.
is my personal childhood Stay Puft that I had to play with as a child because it was a child's toy.
While you were in your refrigerator box of a bedroom outside being fed Alpo.
It's new.
Oh, yeah, like his
Whiny
parents bought
bastard.
name brand.
It's new. Well, I started to whine like a pup.
Yeah. So before we get
Welcome to Bonehead.
welcome to Bonehead, 3rd time. So before we get into the topic of today's episode,
Oh no! He's turning his head like the Exorcist.
I feel like I should address a few points that were brought up in the last episode because apparently I don't listen to every single episode. One, I do not like Stone Cold. I've never seen it, nor do I. But I do not like Brian Botswick. I can tell you that much.
Brian Bosworth. You don't
Whatever.
even know he said his name right.
Exactly. It's not
Brian Bosworth
There's
makes
somebody-
those biscuits that I have in the morning.
Ooh, those are good.
Somebody
2.
named Brian Boswick out there right now is
Brian
crying.
Bisquick.
2. Why the hell
Where's the gravy, Mr. Bisquick? Where's the gravy?
Why the hell do
You
you have
ate it
to
all.
bring up Fred Dryer in my honor?
Because I figured you'd bring up Fred Dryer if you were on the episode. Because you
I,
bring up,
would not- I didn't like Hunter. I never watched an episode.
but you brought it up in at least 3 previous episodes.
Let's go just say bringing the Fred Dryer up as Hunter is funny to
Is
me.
it?
Well,
I don't give
I
a
knew-
fuck about anybody else.
Obviously. The
I knew
viewers have
if I-
found that out.
But
And
I
then-
knew if you were there, you would have brought up Hunter. So I brought up Hunter in your honor.
Okay.
Douchebag.
3. The one that where Joe said he's the constant in every episode.
Yes.
There have been many times where you said I can't record, so we just didn't do an episode because we use your basement.
Is
Check.
that the reason?
Check.
We've used my basement
And me.
before.
Is that the reason? I could come up with more.
Anyway,
Joe
you're
is
not the
the-
only constant.
Joe is the sticky,
Yeah, there's
sticky,
a Stay
sticky
Puft.
substance that holds us together.
Now,
So
What's
sticky.
what's the other one?
no, those are my 3 points.
No, the constant.
I don't know. I don't do math. What's the topic
it's
of today's
the-
episode, Joe?
It's the non-vowels.
Yeah, thank you.
People who steal shit.
Yeah, heist movies.
There you go.
Now,
You
I'm
have
not
any
going to
good
bring
ones?
up.
I have. So
Jaws stole my heart.
I have 3 on the
Mm.
nose ones that are very popular that I think you all will steal at least 1, maybe 2 of. But I have one that I almost guarantee either one of you have, and you'll probably go, "Oh shit, why didn't I think of it?"
Which one is it?
Well,
Who wants to go first?
Well, one thing. Should we talk about the fact that a good heist movie, and I don't know how any of y'all feel, with the exception of a few outliers,
It says Columbia Pictures underneath.
that's good. That most heist movies are based. The main reason that heist movies are so popular is the ensemble cast.
Well, yeah. I mean, Ocean's 11, for example, either version that you're looking at, or Ocean's 8, that was the one where the girls came over to play.
Yeah.
Which I haven't seen that.
I haven't seen it
I've
either.
seen scenes.
So I couldn't add it to my list. So
I
I'm
couldn't.
sorry.
Well, and I don't have either of the Ocean's movies on my list.
Neither do I.
But yes, it's always the fun and the casting and the ensemble cast. Several of them, actually, come to think about it, you're right. Except for one, all of mine are an ensemble cast.
Yeah. There was only one. I mean, there are several that do not involve an ensemble cast, but the really great ones. in my
No,
opinion,
there's one good one. that
I know.
doesn't have
I
an
figure I know
ensemble
which
cast.
one you're thinking of.
Yeah.
But the rest are, you have to have a great group of actors where the chemistry is in synced, or you don't have a good heist movie. It could be the best plot ever, but if the cast doesn't
Yeah.
connect, it's going to suck.
Like what?
Well, I'll go ahead. I'll throw one out because Joe's already mentioned. I did want to talk about the original Ocean's 11 with the Rat Pack.
Yeah.
And
Which
that's
that
a
was just a
movie-
reason for them to party and get drunk. Or was that Robin's Hood?
No, that's Robin and the Seven Hoods.
Hoods.
Thank you,
Thank you.
sir.
Mm,
Was the follow-up.
mm.
They didn't do sequels. But Ocean's
Sequels are for
11.
losers.
Ocean's 11.
While he's talking, I'm getting a Diet Coke.
Okay.
Keep going.
Thank you so much.
I'm going through
Hold
the
on.
screen to get my Diet
Hold on.
Coke.
Anyway,
Oh,
Ocean's
Diet Coke.
11.
Son of a
by the way.
bitch.
Ocean's
James
11.
found a Fuzzy's taco.
Ocean's 11. For those that don't know, the Clooney, Pitt, Robert,
Hey, can I get you anything?
Yeah, give me one. Go ahead,
Fuck you,
James.
Chad.
the Robert Pitt, that one is a remake, but it's really completely different as far as the plot goes. Other than robbing
Completely
casinos,
different. Same cast of them robbing shit, but completely different.
not the same cast. Joe, Frank Sinatra was dead. I don't know why.
Robin and the Seven Hoods?
No, I said the remake is completely different tonally.
Yeah.
If you anyway, so for those that don't know, the movie is about Frank Sinatra plays Danny Ocean and Dean Martin. They're war buddies. They decide to get the rest of their war buddies together, and they're going to knock out 5 casinos on New Year's Eve. The reason I love this movie is, unlike the remake, things don't end well in this movie.
No, it has it can be considered a downer.
The famous poster, if you went to college and they were doing poster sales, there's always that one shot of the Rat Pack where it leaves off Bishop and Lawford, but it's Sammy looking over this way and Frank's looking this way. That's a scene from Ocean's 11. It's the ending scene of Ocean's 11. The heist starts to go awry because they're doing it, and so they all have military training. They're all experts in different areas, and their electrician drops dead of a heart attack on the old school Las Vegas Strip. And things just start to go sideways. Cesar Romero plays the detective. That is actually, he's not a detective. That's a lie. He is a former mobster.
It's been a while since I've seen it. I don't remember Cesar Romero.
He is the guy that is. It's basically
Joker,
he goes.
Joe.
That's Joaquin Phoenix. No one ever played the role before Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah.
Haven't you read the reviews?
I don't know. Heath Ledger's still getting voted as the best Joker.
Haven't you written? No, that obviously.
Mark Hamill. Cesar Romero.
The best Joker's that guy that covered up his mustache with white paint. See, this is what's funny about what. Yeah. And everybody's going to go, that fat dumbass doesn't know that that's Cesar Romero? Took my hat off, kids.
Okay. Cesar Romero plays the guy that's going to track him down. He's a former mobster, but he goes to the casino and goes, listen, I know the inside and outside of people who do these crimes. I'm going to track them down for you. And he actually ends up figuring it out by accident. So they decide to stash the money somewhere. Where do they stash the money? Well, they set $10,000 aside for their war buddy's widow that died of a heart attack during the heist. And they say, oh, they're going to ship his body back to San Francisco. No big deal. We'll put the money in with the body. When it's back out west, we'll dig him up, get our money. Heist is a success. The funeral home convinces his wife to cremate the body. So that scene at the very end is when they realize, they're like, oh, the body's being cremated, and you see it's going on the conveyor belt, and it cuts back to them, and they realize they've done all this for nothing. The wife still gets the $10,000 to take care of her, so it's a good ending for her, I guess. But otherwise, it's all for nothing.
No one remembers this movie because of the plot, acting, or anything else.
But it is important for a couple of reasons. One, for a social justice reason. This is actually the film that broke the unofficial segregation of Las Vegas hotels, because Sammy Davis Jr. couldn't stay in the hotels with the rest of the Rat Pack, and Frank Sinatra lost his temper and went down to the guy that ran the hotel they were all staying at and said, if you don't let my buddy stay here, I'm Frank Sinatra. The other part about this is, so this would have been a film that also would have starred Steve McQueen. Yeah. But Steve McQueen turned it down because his friend told him that, hey, if you're in this movie, you'll just end up being one of Frank Sinatra's flunkies. Which, by the way, 99.9% of America would have lovingly signed up to be one of Frank Sinatra's flunkies. What?
I'd like to be Frank Sinatra's flunky. Yeah. I mean, not so much now. I don't want to go to the netherworld and be his demon.
It's got tons
of. Am I making assumptions about where Frank Sinatra ended up at?
No.
You're damn right.
It's got tons of cameos. Shirley MacLaine. Yeah. Angie Dickinson is, of course, and she has a
Which
cameo.
Which version of Shirley MacLaine?
Which one do you need?
Which past life?
Yeah.
But it has to. Red Skelton has a cameo. Basically, if you were working in Vegas or you were friends with any of the Rat Pack, you've got a cameo in this film. I like it because the soundtrack's a lot of fun, as one would assume with the Rat Pack involved. And I like the fact that it's not a glossy, high-end ending. It is a very much, oh crap, now this was all for nothing ending. To me, it is much more likely that any heist I was involved in would go the original Ocean's 11 route than any of the other movies that I'm going to talk about later. So you mentioned Ocean's 11, I went ahead and did it.
So to answer your question before James went on about a movie that a heist movie that could have been good, but the ensemble cast was absolutely terrible. I had to look it up because I couldn't remember the name of it. Takers.
Who's in it?
Hayden Christian Anderson.
Hayden Christensen.
Sorry, Hayden Christian.
Did
I just add Hans Christian Anderson?
Wrote a book you may remember called Fargo.
Oh my God. Chris Brown.
Free Willy.
Chris Brown.
I'm waiting for the good actors.
Matt Dillon. No, I'm saying there's no good actors in it.
That's what he's saying. This is the example of a movie that could have been good.
I thought you were going to give me an example of a cast that didn't have chemistry.
That's exactly what I'm giving you.
That would be it. Part 2.
Ooh. That we'll do that in the best of episode that we're going to be doing.
The end of the year episode, right?
Yeah. No.
I got a couple things for that one.
Do you want me to start?
Sure.
So this
James already started.
Well, yeah. So this is going to be my pick for the one you're going, oh shit, why didn't I think of it?
Yeah.
I just want to scream something.
This has actually been brought up at least once, maybe twice in the 102 episodes that we've done.
Oh, God, he's doing Children of Men.
Nope. Each time we've gotten the title wrong because we couldn't remember the name of it off the top of our head. Disorganized Crime.
I didn't remember the title of Disorganized
We
Crime.
screwed it up in the last episode we did.
The question I have, is it yet available on DVD?
Yes.
It's about damn time.
It's on DVD, but you have to buy it in a triple set with John Cusack's Money for Nothing, or Take the Money and Run, or Money for Nothing, and another movie. Another Stakeout, which was actually written and directed by the guy who directed.
So it's like how I got Castle Freak on DVD. You had to get it boxed with The Prophecy, Castle Freak, and two other movies.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Or and it's another Stakeout.
Okay, so can I get that from Amazon?
Yes.
I'll have to do that this week.
It is written and directed by Jim Koff.
Not New Orleans Jim Koff.
Yeah.
Mr. Koff, feel free to come on the episode episode and tell me where you actually live.
Yeah. Now, as a director, Jim Koff, this is probably his best movie.
What are the other ones?
He only directed 5 things.
Mm-hmm.
His other 2 movies was gang related with Jim Belushi and Tupac. And a movie called Miracles.
The Kurt Russell one?
No, this is like this is late 1970s. However, listen to how many movies he's written.
Yeah.
I'd say I know he did some uncredited rewrites.
Let's start with the first movie the man wrote. The Boogans. Stakeout, another Stakeout. The Hidden.
Stakeout was a big hit.
Yeah.
The Hidden is a cult classic.
Yeah.
It's directed by Jack Shoulder.
The next is another cult classic, Operation Dumbo Drop. Rush Hour. James, he wrote National Treasure. And,
I'd say, which is in of its own way a heist film.
movie.
Yeah.
It's also partially historically wrong, but it is. You got to give him credit. He helped write a screenplay where somebody went, "I'm going to steal the Declaration of Independence," and I had a lot of fun watching it.
He also co-created the show Grimm.
Okay.
It stars. Let me talk about who stars in it. Fred Gwynne, the amazing Fred Gwynne.
It was a great actor.
Ed O'Neill.
Yeah, another good actor.
This is another guy. This is another actor who I don't think gets credit for the roles that he did.
Lou Diamond Phillips.
Well, yeah. Ruben Blades.
Yeah.
And
he's
also
great in Predator too.
And he's a talented musician that a lot of people don't realize.
He sings some songs in Predator too with the Predator.
Let me be somebody from the house. Is he any kin to that Ruben Blades?
For years, Chad and I called him Ruben Blades. We didn't know. Chad's the one corrected me.
Yeah, it's Ruben Blades. Corbin Burnson, Daniel Roebuck.
Daniel Roebuck is a good character actor, and whom I've actually met.
Yes,
and he's a very nice guy. Were you with me when we met him?
I wasn't there.
Good friends with Hank Sears
and the late great Hoyt Axton.
Hoyt Axton.
Never forget.
Yeah.
So, not to go too much into the plot. Essentially what it is, it's an hour. It's only an hour and 92 minutes.
It's an
that
hour
would be
and 92
a long
minutes.
that would be
I'm sorry, an hour. It's an hour and
Where
30.
in the hell did you drive from tonight? Florida?
Louisville. It's an hour and 32 minutes.
What are you doing in Louisville?
Trick-or-treating at the zoo.
Oh, you didn't ask me to go. Hey, would you tell me that I should eat at the zoo in Louisville?
No.
Oh, okay. Fuck it then.
Must have made it up.
I missed a damn garbage can.
Did somebody? I recommend you eat at the elephant enclosure. All the peanuts you could want.
They just had some good-looking sandwiches when I was there the other day.
An hour and 30. So the movie's an hour and 32 minutes of nonstop hilarity. It's essentially about.
I remember liking it, but is it nonstop hilarity? I mean, who's the other character actor that's in that movie? The guy that falls in the shit all the time. I can never remember his name.
Oh shit! I didn't write his name. I'm gonna try.
William
Huss.
William Russ, right? William Russ.
Everybody forgot him. He's an actual good actor.
Yes.
If you saw him and you've seen some stuff from the 80s, you know exactly who else.
Yeah.
Well, and for some people, if you're a fan of Boy Meets World.
Yeah. He's the dad.
Yeah, he's the dad, right?
Yeah. But essentially, it's about a man who plots a bank robbery, and he calls his crew in, and then he gets arrested, and it's all about the crew trying to figure out what's going on.
Corbin Burnson, right?
Corbin Burnson
is the mastermind.
Do you remember Corbin Burnson's name? in the movie?
No, I don't remember anybody's name in the movie.
Corbin Burnson's character's name is Frank Salazar.
Salazar.
Now you say that's not a name that would really fit Corbin Burnson. When Jeff Koff wrote this movie, he wanted Edward James Olmos.
Okay.
This is
And
why
he got Corbin Burnson.
This is why he called the character Frank Salazar. However, Edward James Olmos had to back out, and the studio demanded Corbin Burnson.
He's probably big on LA Law
because of how big he was on LA Law.
Yeah.
So,
and a few years later, The Dentist.
Now I don't know if this was true or not. I tried to find backup evidence of this, but Fred Gwynn's character, he's the explosives expert. I remember that. He several times throughout the movie he actually has heart attacks. He has heart issues.
Yeah.
In one of the scenes he actually has a real heart attack.
Really?
Yes. So I couldn't figure out A, if that was true, and B, what scene it was, but there was one website that had it, so I'm just going with it. I'm sorry, I don't have actual evidence or sources.
Let's dig his ass up.
But he got out a few days later and managed to finish the filming on schedule. Writer-director Jim Koff actually made a deal with Disney CEO Jeff Katzenberg that he could make a movie on a $5 million budget, and this was the film they agreed on after the success of Stakeout.
Okay.
But not the success of Another Stakeout.
Yeah.
Also, were they head-to-head Rosie O'Donnell?
Yeah. And by the way, disorganized crime takes place in a weird. You don't see a lot of movies about bank heists taking place in frickin' Montana.
Yeah.
It was filmed in Missoula, Montana, right?
Yes, and the reason it was filmed in Montana is because Jim Koff just recently bought a house there.
Uh-huh.
So he could get the money for cheap. He could get the property for cheap to film the movie.
Because he only had $5 million.
He only had $5 million.
And he had a pretty big cast. Even in the 80s, that would have been a low-budget film.
Yeah, it was a really low-budget film.
Huh.
And it was actually a somewhat success.
Really?
Yeah, it made some money back. It wasn't a huge success.
Okay.
It was just one of those movies that did its business, was enough to where it was a success.
And then everyone's forgotten about it.
And then everyone's forgotten about it because it's. And if you look up heist movies, it doesn't even come up.
No,
you have to type in. I knew I was going to bring it up, but I was determined to figure out how to get this freaking movie to show up in Google.
Yeah.
So I had to type in 80s heist movies, and it was like number 7 on the list.
Oh, okay.
The only other thing I have to say about it, other than how amazing it is, just because it's such a funny movie and so much happens in an hour and 90. They have 3 storylines going on of.
Because Corbin Burnson's trying to make it to them.
Corbin Burnson's trying to make it back to his house after he escapes from his captors, played by Daniel Roebuck and Ed O'Neill. Ed O'Neill and Daniel Roebuck are trying to figure out. They're tracking the 4 criminals, but they think they're tracking Salazar, and then it's all about the other 4 criminals planning this heist without Frank Salazar.
Yeah.
So it's all that's going on in 92 minutes, and it doesn't stop. It's really, and it has an ending that it just ends.
Did you rewatch it?
Yes, I rewatched it yesterday.
How was it?
It still holds up.
Okay, good.
I enjoyed it.
I have to buy it.
So that's my first pick, Disorganized Crime, because it's one of those. Again, it's one of those movies that is really good that just disappeared out of into the ethos of Hollywood.
I wanted to throw out one quick thing.
Ethos. I don't know why I said ethos.
I want to throw out one quick thing that I had in my notes that I think actually is relevant. Ocean's 11. Joe, do you know who did uncredited work on Ocean's 11 that went on to write 1 or 2 other things? Billy Wilder.
Billy Wilder. Yeah,
Frank Sinatra called him up and said, "Hey, would you do me a favor? Do some work on this script."
Yeah.
And Billy Wilder went, "Sure." And it was directed by Louis Milestone. And Louis Milestone, for those that go by awards and stuff, won 2 Academy Awards. One for All Quiet on the Western Front directing, and the other one he had already won an Academy Award for that for 2 Arabian Nights, which nobody remembers, but a lot of people still know All Quiet on the Western Front.
All right.
Joe, what's your first
I'm
one?
going back and forth between the one I want to pick the most. But I'm going to go with my heart, even though everyone's going to see this and know it. I'm going to go with Reservoir Dogs.
Yep, if you're thinking of a heist movie, it's
I know most people are going to know it, and I know it's a real simple one, and it's an easy one off the tongue. And I've got a couple more obscure ones here.
By the way, do we
go
have
through.
James? Do you have any Tarantino movies on your list?
I did not put Tarantino movies on my list. I also, by the way, should say I'm not bringing up The Sting because we've already talked about it.
I know. I was like, oh, he's going to bring up The Sting.
There's a classic heist movie that I want, the one that I truly love that I didn't bring up because I brought it up previously. But
which one?
We'll wait till the end.
Okay.
But no,
sorry.
Jackie Brown.
Yeah, Jackie Brown's a heist movie.
R.I.P. Robert Forster, who passed away yesterday.
Yesterday at the age of 78 from brain cancer.
Which I guess from now it's 2 days ago by the time this airs.
Probably. So 6 criminals with pseudonyms: Mr. White, Mr. Pink, Mr. Black, Mr. Blue, Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown's Mr. Shit. And each strangers to one another are hired to carry out a robbery. The heist is ambushed by police, and the gang are forced to shoot their way out. And at their warehouse rendezvous, the survivors, realizing that they were set up, trying to find out who the traitor was in their midst. It goes forwards in time, it goes backwards in time. Everything that you would think about from a Tarantino movie, it was all set up right there.
Right.
Some of the same cast, some of the same folks. Now, I don't think this is right. I was looking at something, and it had Roger Avery as one of the writers, and that's not accurate. Roger Avery was one of the writers for Pulp Fiction. He has story credit on it, but he's not one of the writers for Reservoir Dogs.
He won the
Academy Award. Yeah. Let him win the Academy Award with it. So, if you've not seen Reservoir Dogs, it probably means you're not a Tarantino fan,
right?
Don't you think?
Yeah,
no way I'm going to be able to convince you in that way.
Even though I don't know, I mean,
I think you still need to see it.
Sorry, James. What?
I think you still need to see it, even if you're not a Tarantino. If you don't like,
but if you'll let me finish, let me finish.
Let
me finish. God,
Admiral.
Early '90s reference.
It means you're probably not a Tarantino fan, but I think the movie's important, and the movie's important for several different reasons, and this is what I want to talk about. Not so much. Most of our listeners or viewers have seen it. Christy would say it's actually probably her favorite Tarantino film. It's the one that she loves the most. She prefers it over Pulp Fiction. I don't feel that way. Although I love the movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's important for cinema at that time, specifically independent cinema, or what I call half-assed independent cinema. These were still distributed by Miramax studios and small. Actually, this wasn't distributed by Miramax. Miramax was Pulp Fiction later. It wasn't a live entertainment, but it was something close. I'll Google it and I'll tell you.
Google it and I will tell you.
This movie was not a huge hit. Made a hell of a lot of money on video, but it wasn't a huge hit.
No.
What it gave Tarantino was a passport to the world. And he actually, I can't remember what filmmaker actually said, what this is going to do is allow you to be able to see the world. And it did because of film festivals and all the film festivals it got to go to. And he's talked about that this part in time,
Polygram
in cinema, huh?
Was it Polygram?
It may be Polygram, I don't remember. But it wasn't Miramax. Actually, Pulp Fiction was going to be done for Columbia. And they put it in turnaround, and Miramax is the one who picked it up. Did you all know that?
The production company was Polygram.
Huh?
The production company was Polygram.
Polygram, yeah. It wasn't Miramax. So, back to Pulp Fiction really quick. That's where he and Robert Rodriguez hung out. They were both on the lot writing scripts. Because El Mariachi, or the sequel Desperado, was made for Columbia.
Okay.
And he actually wrote a Predator script for them way back in the day. Or for Fox, I should say. Anyway, doesn't matter, moving right along. It doesn't exist anymore. There are film festivals. There are a few big film festivals. But to get to go around the world and do your movie and sell it that way doesn't happen like this anymore. It was a time where cinema was changing, where you could do low-budget features and still make some money, and they didn't necessarily have to be horror. The 90s is what I call our punch-drunk stage, and I'm not making a reference to the movie of we were all coming up in high school at the time in the 90s. It just was an odd little place, right? Yeah. And grunge was big, and it was just the right time. Very little action in Reservoir Dogs, and we were fine with that because of the dialogue. It was a new voice. It was a new time. Right. And so many people try to rip him off over the next 3 or 4 to 10 to still 20 years later.
And
trying to rip him. They can't do it because he has a singular voice. I don't know that I would ever think I would enjoy being friends with Quentin Tarantino. I may be wrong. I might be great friends with him. I don't think I would.
Right.
However, the man is a genius, probably as close
He's a
as we
shitty
get.
Elvis impersonator.
Yeah, there's good. You ever seen that Golden Girls episode?
I have not.
I actually have. Of course,
Check it out on Hulu,
every-
folks.
What'd you say?
Check it out on Hulu.
Yeah, you could. All he does is this. Does anybody remember?
I've
Anyway,
seen
throwing
the
his arms up.
GIF.
Yeah. So check out Reservoir Dogs if you hadn't seen it. I think it's important. It's important for cinema at that time. It's important for where cinema was going. A lot of it, to my mind, it's not called that. I call it grunge cinema for the next few years. Check it out. Thanks so much.
Later. Bye.
Bye. That's all I have to say. I'm out of here.
James, what's your pick?
Let me see. Which one do I want to go with? Do I want to pick one that's from the
time to pick? Yeah, waste your time right here letting the audience.
All right, you know what you mentioned.
I don't know. Will I have the Diet Coke or will I have the Diet Pepsi?
Diet Coke.
Eat a bullet. Diet Pepsi shouldn't be a choice.
You're not supposed to say that anymore.
You're right. Diet Pepsi's a choice.
You know what? You mentioned Ocean's
Thanks
8.
for setting that up. You left me, fuck you.
Man.
No, screw it.
No. Whatever y'all are ready. You mentioned Ocean's 8. I'm going to go one better. So F. Gary Gray has given us a few.
9?
You have F. Gary Gray has given us a few heist films, including the remake of The Italian Job. But I'm actually going to bring up
also
Set
gave
It
us
Off.
the Waterfalls video, TLC. Never forget Left Eye.
Yeah.
Is she the one that died?
Yes.
Holy shit! How did I know that?
I don't know.
I do like Waterfalls.
You
It's
like
actually my
looking at 'em, you
least
don't
favorite
like the
song by them.
I
Anyway.
like the song and looking at them.
I wanted to bring up Set It Off. I think Set It Off's important. It was
Yeah.
a
Set It Off.
female-driven cast.
And all African American female-driven cast.
$9 million production budget.
Yeah.
Made a ton of money. And actually, more importantly, the soundtrack peaked at number 4
Yeah.
on the charts. The soundtrack was huge. $9 million, all African, or not all, but primarily female, or the core 4 female African Americans.
Yeah.
It looked at classism, it looked at racism, and it was still a heist movie. Basically, there's 4 of them that are working for, one of them was fired from a bank.
Yep.
And basically has the idea we should just start robbing banks. They start robbing a bank, and for a while, it looks like everything's going to go well. They end up eventually having to kill an old boss who stole money from them. And then by the end, bullets start flying everywhere. And
It's also, it was a smaller movie. If I'm not mistaken, look this up, and I don't know why I know this. It's Queen Latifah, right?
Yes.
Queen Latifah, I was on a hit series on Fox at the time. What was it called?
Living Single.
Living Single. She made more per episode for Living Singles than she did to do this movie.
Yeah.
do you know actually what
Why I know that, I have no idea.
what one of the highest cost of this film
What?
was? They sample briefly the Godfather soundtrack.
Oh.
They paid more for the rights to use a sampling of the Godfather soundtrack, if I'm remembering this correctly. And literally, it's like, oh, is that the Godfather's? And then it's over. And they paid more for that than the actors. That's where a lot of their production budget money went.
Huh.
What's funny is they originally were going to get Brandy, who was starring in Moesha at the time, was going to be cast. She turned it down. F. Gary Gray got the job as the director because Friday was a hit, and they said they basically assigned him to this.
That was his first ever movie.
Hmm?
And then
Friday,
yeah.
Kimberly Elise, who is the person that ended up cast, was more or less discovered as a waitress when they couldn't get anybody else, and she has went on to be in episodes of Grey's Anatomy, and recently was in what was the movie that she was just in?
I don't know.
Hit film. Dr. Dre made his film debut. John C. McGinley is in it.
Dr. Dre had already been there because Ed Lover could have all the donuts he wants.
Is that before Set It Off?
What'd you say?
What?
Is that before Set It Off?
Who's the man? Yes.
Who's the man's for Set It Off?
Nah.
Yeah. But that's
Well,
Dr. Dre.
Yeah.
No. Sorry. Yeah, half the budget. I was looking. Half the budget was to pay for the Godfather thing.
I don't
$9 million.
$4 million for that.
Yeah.
It's stupid. Because I don't even remember it being in the movie.
You mentioned the TLC earlier, that was another casting thing they almost went with, as one can imagine.
Yeah.
Chili was going to be in it. She was interested in it, did not get cast. Regina King tried to get cast. But anyway, it's a really interesting heist film that probably, I think most of the time, these heist films, even if it's supposed to be showing, oh, these people really need the money, they still come off as suave and cool and collected. And probably F. Gary Gray gave us the best, okay, these people are down on their luck, they're poor, and things aren't going to go well for them. But it does look at race, class, and it's probably one of the best heist films to ever do that. Yeah. 1996, long before he did the remake of The Italian Job. F. Gary Gray set it off. If you haven't seen it, you really should. But most people know the soundtrack more than they do the movie now.
And do either one of you know F. Gary Gray's next project?
There's one now?
Yeah, well, I guess he's currently working on it.
I did, but I forgot.
Mobile Army Strategic Command,
Mask.
Otherwise known as Mask.
Yeah, he just did one of the Tonka truck movies.
Oh, did he?
What's it called?
I don't know.
No, didn't he just direct?
Ad Astra, by the way. Kimberly Elise is in Ad Astra.
He just directed one of the Fast and Furious movies.
Actually, he directed the one that's considered the highest grossing one. The Fate of the Furious is.
What is the Fate of the Furious?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
I haven't watched it.
I haven't watched it. Go ahead, Chad.
Okay.
Chad.
So I'm going to bring up, in my opinion, in terms of entertainment value.
Yes.
Spike Lee's most entertaining movie, Inside Man. I thoroughly enjoy Inside Man.
Can I tell you a secret?
Yeah, go ahead.
I have a thing for Kim
Director.
Do you know who that is, James?
No.
James, while we talk, please look up
Kim Director, because she is right up Chad and Joe's alley. She's also in a little movie that I've defended many times, and not because she's in it, but I truly feel Book of Shadows, sequel to The Blair Witch, is an underrated film.
I was going to break up Kim Director and ask you to look.
Oh, she's in The Deuce.
Yes.
Oh, is she in The Deuce?
Yeah, she's in The Deuce.
Does she get...
I don't know, but I need to see this show called Little America, which is in post-production right now. Do you know what her character's name is in Little America?
No.
By the way, you're right. She's not hard on that. I'm not making this up.
Director, she's beautiful.
Look this up later. In Little America, the upcoming TV series, her character's name is Boobs. Boobz. Look it up. I'm not making this up.
Which, by the way, we're joking, but Kim Director's cleavage is a pivotal plot point. Not a pivotal, but it is an interesting plot point inside the movie Inside Man.
So, Kim Director, check her out.
Yeah, anyway.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
So directed by Spike Lee, starring Denzel Washington, Clive Owen, Jodie Foster, Christopher Plummer, William Dafoe, and I'm gonna butcher his name. Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Chewie. His
Sorry.
friend's called Chewie.
It was written by Russell Gurwitz. Russell Gurwitz wrote this and Righteous Kill, and that's it.
Oh my God, Righteous Kill's a terrible movie.
I couldn't get through it.
It's a terrible movie.
Yeah. But no, so what it is.
It's a good title.
So basically what it is, Inside Man is a movie that about these group of robbers who rob a bank and hold it hostage. And it's all about the hostage negotiator, played by Denzel Washington, and his partner trying to convince him to give up the hostages. It plays for 2 hours. It's just nonstop.
It's his most accessible movie.
Yes.
I would agree with that. It's his most, because my two favorite Spike Lee films are Do the Right Thing, of course, and Clockers.
Do you know who was originally going to direct that, Chad?
I'm sorry?
Do you know who was originally going to direct it?
Clockers or Inside Man?
Inside Man.
Clockers was going to be Martin Scorsese.
I didn't have it down, but remind me.
Ron Howard. Do you know why Ron Howard didn't? Because of Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe brought him the script to a film called Cinderella Man, and Ron Howard opted to do Cinderella Man.
That's right. I'm sorry, I didn't write that down.
I like Cinderella Man. It's
but I think Chad's probably right. It's his most accessible film.
Yeah. The movie is great because it mixes an intense cat and mouse game between Washington and Owen.
Yeah.
With a legal battle being put forth by Foster and Plummer. One of the cooler elements is the many side stories that occur throughout the movie. This is one of the cool things I loved about it. This includes the Albanian with the parking tickets.
It's been a long time since I've seen it, man.
The interactions between Washington and the beat cops, because there's several, and it honestly doesn't play to the movie. It just happens. It's kind of just playing along, like if this situation was occurring, this is all the stuff that would be happening. Yeah. And the old man talking about stealing money from his grandmother's purse when they're interrogating.
I don't remember any of it. I'm sitting here going, Kim director. That's what I remember. Yeah. I mean, I remember who directed. I forgot Clive Owen was in it.
Clive Owen's so great in it.
I saw it when it came out.
Oh God, I've watched it so many times. The two biggest complaints about this movie that I read was that there were too many subplots. I disagree.
I disagree.
I do. It pissed me off when I was doing research and I kept reading reviews about it, and the biggest complaint was the subplots. The many interweaving plots is what made this movie so entertaining. It kept you constantly on the edge of your seat. You didn't know where it was going to go. I mean, it was just you would be enthralled on one thing, and then another thing would happen. Yeah. It was great. The second was that this movie was too much of a throwback to previous heist movies. Again, this is where I disagree because Spike took his own take on a forgotten genre at that time. There wasn't a lot going on in heist movies, and he made it his own by just putting that little Spike Lee joint to it. One of the coolest thing I know just about the actual making of the movie, there are several scenes where it cuts back and forth to Denzel and Ejiofor in the interrogation room talking to the people who were taken hostage. Every single one of those was ad-libbed.
Oh yeah.
They were all ad-libbed, which is great. And because it really does, when you're watching those, it does kind of feel like these people are just talking. It doesn't feel scripted, and that is why. Spike Lee just put him in a room and said, "This is what we're going to talk about," and then let him go. So, Inside Man, I feel in terms of Spike Lee movies, it doesn't get the respect that it deserves.
Yeah. Well, and it's a good movie that you can take and it's a good way to introduce your kids to homages and stuff. Because what I like to do is set my kids down and let them watch Zootopia. Yeah. And then I let them watch Inside Man. See, Zootopia has an homage to, and then Child Services shows up.
And now it's my turn. My next one, and it was up, and it's interesting because Chad sent me about the director of this movie. Chad sent me he sent me one of the podcasts that he's listening to and he's turned me on to as well is.
Oh, I meant to send you the link to this and I forgot. I apologize, but go ahead, Joe.
I completely forgot Gilbert Gottfried's name.
Gilbert Gottfried's
amazing podcast.
Amazing Colossal podcast.
Amazing Colossal. Who's the guy that co-hosts it with him?
Oh, Frank
Welker.
No.
So he and Frank Welker do a lot of different voices.
Frank Sandra Padre.
So it is a really good podcast. I recommend it. Turn us off and just go ahead and turn them on. They're much better.
Because, by the way, and real quick, because you think you're going to hear, it's just Gilbert Gottfried being Gilbert Gottfried. No, it's actually about the history of Hollywood and film and television making.
And Gilbert Gottfried is a cinephile.
Yes.
Yeah, he's like us. He's like us.
And his co-host, Frank.
Except he's successful and well-known.
Yeah, basically, with an annoying voice. So
he's like us.
And they talk a lot about Milton Berle's schlong.
Yeah. It's a great podcast. Check it out, specifically if you're into movies. They had Treat Williams on there talking about this director. And it's just kind of apropos that when I couldn't remember, I lost my list because we were supposed to do this 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I'd done 4 pages of research. I only have 2.5 this time. I knew I had 3 or 4 pages. And I still went back to this movie. It's one of my favorite films made by this director. His name was Sidney
Sidney Lumet?
Sidney Lumet. I almost said Sidney Poitier. How many fucking Sidneys do I know? Oh my God, they all directed too. Anyway, and they all started out as actors.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Anyway, Sidney Lumet was a fantastic, and he wrote and it came up on another podcast I was listening to, after that, I went to the James Burrows ones.
Okay.
James Burrows is a famous television
I haven't
director.
finished that one yet.
It's really good. He directed a lot of Taxi, directed most of Cheers, directed most of. Anyway, keep going. He directed it, and he was talking about Sidney Lumet's book on directing, being one of the best. It's right over there on the shelf. You both should read it. It's fantastic. It's practical. It's thin, and it gets right to the point.
Which is Sidney Lumet.
Which would be Sidney Lumet and his movies. So if you don't know who he is, he directed some of my favorite films, but one of the best ones is Dog Day Afternoon with Al Pacino. What is great about Dog Day Afternoon is if you don't know anything about the story, you just don't know where it's going.
You don't.
You think, oh, these guys are just holding up the bank, trying to steal some money. And by God, it goes a little place, a little different. And here's what I love about it. It's based on a true story.
Yeah, but that story is actually, again, like with most movie cinematic biopics, it is not that. It is something completely different.
But a guy hijacked someplace
to
pay for the reconstructive surgery of his boyfriend to become a woman.
Yep.
Sorry to give away that point. Once again, we were talking about what do all these things have in common, Chad?
An ensemble cast.
Ensemble cast. We have John Cazale, who would later die. He was in The Deer Hunter. He was the Godfather 1, Godfather 2, played Fredo. He's a great actor.
Should we recreate Godfather 2 right now?
What?
Al Pacino. And we have Charles Durning as the cop. Check it out.
Say Chris Sarandon.
I was about to say, who plays his lover?
Chris Sarandon.
Chris Sarandon, that's right. Fright Night's Chris Sarandon. Childs plays Chris Sarandon. The Princess Bride's Chris Sarandon plays the gay lover.
Continue, because never mind.
Yeah, I can keep going if you want. Do you want me to keep going?
No.
Yeah, all right. Basically what it is these guys hold up a bank, right?
Yep.
All right.
Attica.
When an experienced criminal leads a bank robbery in Brooklyn, things go quickly wrong and a hostage situation develops. Him and his co-accomplice try desperately to remain in control. A media circus develops and the FBI arrives, creating even more tension. All right, that's it. That's the plot. And then you find out as it goes, what is his surprising motivations? What is great, it did win the Oscar for Best Original Screenplay. What is great, even though that makes no sense because it was based on the book by P.F. Klug and Thomas More. The fantastic thing about Sidney Lumet is that he never made a bad movie. He made some films that I might find slightly uninteresting, but there's not a bad one.
I haven't seen the Sharon Stone one, so I can't.
That's the closest one to being bad.
Okay.
I got to be honest.
And that was like one of his last movies too. So
no, these last movies, Before the Devil Knows You're Dead, and that makes a great. That's got like 10 fine performances in them. And a lot of topless Marissa Tomei.
Oh, but
unfortunately, she's having sex with the dead actor, heroin, the chubby guy, Mission Impossible 3 villain,
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Oh.
Philip.
That's the unbelievable part of that is that she would be having sex with Philip Seymour Hoffman. So,
by the way, do you think Jim Gaffigan is slowly becoming Philip Seymour Hoffman?
Well,
discuss.
He's not quite the actor, but he's funnier probably.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I never got to hang out with Philip Seymour
Hoffman. Gaffigan all that funny, but there you go. Anyway,
really,
check out.
You think he's funnier than Philip Seymour Hoffman? Have you not seen My Boyfriend's Back?
No.
I mean, I've seen it, but it's been a while.
No.
Okay, continue.
Unequivocally, no.
Continue.
No. I can tell you who produced it, but no.
No. Continue.
No. All right, check it out. That's all I'm going to say about it. And by the way, if you're going through a Sidney Lumet catalog, give me a call. We'll go through and help you out.
Yeah.
We'll check out Serpico.
What is the Sharon Stone movie called?
It starts with a C.
It's her name, right?
Yeah, it's not Carolyn or something like that.
I'm going to look it up
because
this is only really bad movie.
It's not good. It's not good. Even the ones, though, that aren't good are still interesting. Anyway, you were saying, James, what's your next one?
Oh, it's me. Joe, I'm going to talk about one of my favorite. Actually,
the fact that we haven't brought up one movie yet. Because anyway, go ahead.
Well, I keep dancing around because I've got a list, of course, but there's one I want to bring.
I thought you were doing it.
No, I told you I wasn't going to do it.
I told you to go ahead and do it,
but I told you I wasn't. By the way, it's Gloria.
Yeah, that's what it says.
Gloria.
No, I didn't do it.
She has a terrible accent in that film.
And then his next major motion picture after Gloria, Find Me Guilty,
which is one of the best underrated films that no one's ever seen.
Exactly, James.
That we bring up all the time. Man,
This is a movie that I actually watch at least once a year because I remember watching it when it first came out on VHS. I loved it then, and I wanna bring it up now. Joe, you're gonna know the director of this from your favorite film by him, Swept Away.
Really?
But
Son of a bitch, she's bringing this one up. I didn't.
I figured one of you'd bring up this.
I've got to bring up Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels.
I'll bring up the other one.
That's because I figured I figured y'all would be more likely to bring up the other one. I love Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels.
I like them, but I don't have an attachment to them, and I never go back and watch them.
Oh, I've watched.
I rewatched them again actually this year, and I actually noticed stuff this year. I've probably seen them 10, 12 times.
What's it like to peak in your 20s? I asked him and Orson Welles.
No, see, here's what I'm going to say about Guy Ritchie. I think Guy Ritchie's downfall. People started giving him a budget.
Now his next movie. Have you heard the plot to his next movie,
No.
The Gentleman? Oh, I'm excited for The Gentleman. Here's the plot. One sentence plot. A very British drug lord tries to sell off his highly profitable empire to a dynasty of Oklahoma billionaires. Starring Matthew McConaughey and Charlie Hunnam.
Hunnam.
Whom I do not understand why people think he's talented.
Jeremy Strong, Hugh Grant, Jason Wong, and a couple other people in it. And I'm like,
Bucky's Brewster's Jason Wong.
I am excited for that one. Anyway, hopefully it's going back to that. That being said, I also watch any of Guy Ritchie's Sherlock Holmes films. I enjoy those. And by the way, his Aladdin film made Disney a little bit of money. And they're talking about
he needed to make up some money because did you see his other movies like King Arthur or The Man from U.N.C.L.E.?
Swept Away.
Actually, The Man from U.N.C.L.E. is not a bad movie. It's just kind of boring.
Yeah, it's boring.
King Arthur's a bad movie.
King Arthur's a terrible movie.
That's bad.
I haven't seen that one. I saw the King Arthur with the slower version of King Arthur, which was probably historically accurate, but not not a lot of fun. Anyway, Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. If you've not seen it, it introduced the world to a Jason Statham, which is why some people remember it. I like to remember it as the film that gave us Vinnie Jones. And there's an interesting piece of trivia about that. I didn't know this till actually I was doing research on it. Vinnie Jones, they almost thought they might have to recast because he was in jail when they started filming. He got out that day.
Really?
He had beat up his neighbor. And if you don't know anything about Vinnie Jones, go back and just look on YouTube, search Vinnie Jones football. He was a soccer player. He was well known. You could argue he was a Charles Barkley, I guess, if you wanted a basketball comparison. But when he didn't like the call, he was known to basically grab whoever offended him, even if it was a referee, by the groin and jerk downward. He got fined several times for doing that. But anyway, the plot to Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, it's kind of it is an ensemble cast, and you jump between different stories. You have the drug dealers, you have the guy that runs the sex shop, you have all this stuff. But it's basically four friends. One of them is a card shark-esque type character. He gets tricked into betting a lot of money that he doesn't really have. I think it's 50,000 pounds. And he has so long to pay it back. Vinnie Jones plays the enforcer that's going to make sure he pays it back. Big Chris. He's called Big Chris because he takes his son with him on collection, Little Chris. And it's just all these ensemble things, everything that can go wrong does for everybody. And it's a lot of fun to watch.
And Chad, who produced that movie?
Matthew Vaughn.
Matthew Vaughn. Matthew Vaughn would go on to do what?
Nothing.
The best X-Men film, First Class.
Oh, yeah. The best X-Men film, Kingsman. Well, one good Kingsman movie. The second was kind of
I kind of liked it.
Layer Cake.
Cake.
Let's not forget Layer Cake. It's another one of those forgotten movies that nobody really talks about.
Yeah.
And so much of this movie actually did come up. So many memorable scenes in this movie came about by accident because a lot of the actors, I think 17 out of the 44 actors had never acted before. They were just cast because they were available and he didn't have a lot of money. But one of the famous scenes in it that a lot of people assume was in the script.
The biggest name in that movie is Sting, if I'm not mistaken.
And you know why Sting did it? Sting liked his
cameo.
Yeah, that's all it is, yeah.
Well, and Sting agreed to do it because he liked the short film Hard Case that Guy Ritchie had done before that got Guy Ritchie some attention. And the reason Sting liked it was He said he has movies that are filled with violence that you never see. And he goes, I hate graphic violence, but I love the idea of violence being out there. That being said, one of the famous scenes, Nick the Greek is in a meeting with Hard Case Harry. And he sets down, he's supposed to set his glass down on the table, and it's a glass table, and the table breaks underneath it. That was not in the script. It was an accident. And that actual look of shock on his face when he does it, and Guy Ritchie just, no, we're keeping it. We're going to keep doing it because that would be the ultimate bad ending to a bad meeting. We're going to roll with it. It is just, for me, it's a lot of fun to watch. I mean, it's not one you should show to small children. But I every time it's on, or matter of fact, actually, last time, I think it was on Netflix or Hulu. I literally was just surfing for something to put on in the background. I put it on and ended up not getting work done because I ended up watching it. Has a pretty good body count in it too for a small film.
What's your next one?
I've got one more to talk about of this, but because he brought up Lock, Stock, I'm going to go ahead and mention his follow-up to Lock, Stock. And this is a movie that I actually do try to watch once a year as well. Snatch.
Snatched.
What? No.
You know what's funny about both these movies, and I think this is that in both movies you have a character that most people can't understand.
Well, no. So let's talk about that. So Brad Pitt stars in this movie as the gypsy, as Mickey the Gypsy.
Yep.
So his accent was so hard to understand because Guy Ritchie was inspired because of the critics' complaints about Lock, Stock, because they could not understand the dialogue in that movie. So he responded by creating a character who could not be understood by the audience or the actual characters in the movie.
Yeah.
So that was the whole reason. Also, the reason Brad Pitt got this role because he loved Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels so much that he pleaded with Guy Ritchie to put him in the movie.
Yeah.
So Guy Ritchie gave him his request, but he could not master a London accent. So that's why he's Mickey the Gypsy, because he could just do that.
Well, I was about to say, so in Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, is this Charles, I believe, is the actor, and he speaks largely in Cockney.
Yeah.
And the few times you can understand him, he has some of the best lines. I'm going to edit it the way I normally say it when I rarely get to use this line of, if the milk turns sour, I'm not the type of cat to drink it. That's one of the rare times you can understand him. But in the scene where he's at the bar and and the bartender's telling the story about him, where he speaks entirely in Cockney, and he ordered the most ping pong tiddler, and he does the entire thing in pure Cockney. It's one of my favorite scenes because it has a translation at the bottom of the screen. So yeah, no, fun with language in both those movies.
Yeah. So, but just real quick, Snatch. The plot is there's a diamond that's stolen, and people are trying to obtain that diamond at the same time. Jason Statham and Andy Beckwith do an illegal boxing, and they get in over their head, and then they have to do favors for a mobster named Bricktop.
Yeah.
But it's funny that James brought this up about Lock, Stock, but Vinny Jones, who plays Bullet Tooth Tony, there was one scene when Vinny and Saul are sitting outside Bricktop's bookies, and they're about to give him the diamond. The man that approaches the car is not really Bullet Tooth Tony. It is a lookalike, because Vinny Jones was in jail
again
for a fight that happened the day before.
Again. Poor Vinny.
Just so we can move on, because we've talked about Guy Ritchie. He has two really good movies, and that's about it.
I enjoyed Aladdin with my kids.
I didn't see it. I don't want to see it. I'll eventually see it, I'm sure.
The thing that he did with Aladdin, and just real quick, the thing that he did with Aladdin was he made it I just blanked on the term. Film from India.
Bollywood.
He made a Bollywood film. I mean, it ends with a dance scene. He made it a global film instead of just an American animation.
Yeah, there was another director who did that and probably did it better. Slumdog Millionaire.
I saw Slumdog Millionaire.
Yeah.
That's the Danny Boyle.
Danny Boyle, thank you.
You know, he's the Danny Boyle of Danny Boyles.
Yeah. James, do you know who originally Bricktop was supposed to be played by?
No.
Danny Boyle.
Sean Connery. You might want to guess why Sean Connery isn't.
Money.
Oh, you're dead on, Joe Lewis.
You know how I know? Because I know Sean Connery.
Connery liked the script and was curious to see Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. So producer Matthew Vaughn hastily arranged a screening for him at extreme short notice. Connery turned up, watched the film, and then emerged with this. That is a good film. You're not going to be able to afford me. Which,
by the way,
um,
but both these movies have so many quotable scenes, and one of my favorites from Snatch is, "Do you have anything to declare?"
yes, get the fuck out of London, or don't go to fucking London.
Yeah.
By the way,
I love that line. I love that exchange.
My last, and I'll let you go on.
Oh, that's the great Chicago
Dennis Farina.
Dennis Farina, who just passed away a couple years ago, has a great line, and I forgot about it.
By the way, this is my last thing about Snatch. The word "fuck" is said 163 times.
Yeah, it's right up there with Any Given Sunday. Check out episode 102 of Films, where I talk about Any Given Sunday for 45 minutes.
So yeah, no, we talked about Guy Ritchie enough. But Joe, what's your next?
I
film?
thought you had one.
Well, you want me to go into my next pick?
Yeah, I mean, I've got tons.
Okay,
I do this shit for hours.
So we mentioned Ocean's 11.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about Steven Soderbergh's first collaboration with George Clooney.
Yeah.
Out of Sight.
That's actually one of my honorable mentions.
I love Out of Sight.
It's a good movie.
It is a great movie.
I like the follow-up Out of Mind, but nobody remembers it.
What?
What?
So I like the follow-up Out of Mind, but nobody remembers it. See, the joke being that there's
Not a
follow-up.
joke there. Jennifer Lopez is really good in that.
Yeah, she really is.
It's one of those where they tailor a role to somebody.
Yeah.
And George Clooney's really good in that.
Written by Scott Frank, based on a book by Elmore Leonard. Stars George Clooney, Jennifer Lopez, Ving Rhames, John Cheadle, Steve Zahn, Luis Guzman, the great Luis Guzman, Dennis Farina, and Albert Brooks.
And Michael Keaton.
Who reprised his role for
Jackie Brown. Totally different movie, totally different thing. Same guy playing the same role.
Yeah. Did you know that this was not a success?
I watched it in the theater when it came out.
It wasn't a success. George Clooney didn't have a successful movie until Ocean's 11. Batman and Robin. Batman and Robin, Ocean's 11.
He didn't have a huge movie till Batman and Robin?
Right, financially successful.
I'd have to look up the box office From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah.
I don't think it was those weren't bombs.
They weren't bombs, but this is one of George Clooney's favorite films on his resume. It was the first time where I had to say, and it was the first good screenplay I'd read where I just went, that's it. Even though it didn't do very well box office wise, we sort of tanked again. It was a really good film.
It is a pretty good movie.
Essentially,
it's got a lot of dark humor, good dark humor.
Oh yeah, good dark humor. So essentially what it is, by the way, I said Steve Zahn. The movie is about a man who is released out of prison.
Yep.
And he is basically planning a heist of a rich man's house who there is a secret stash of diamonds. That's all I'll say.
Yep.
Steven Soderbergh saw this film as a conscious decision on his part to climb out of the art house ghetto. He had to do a film like this because half the business was still off limits to him, which is the main reason he did Out of Sight. And he did it with gusto. Elmore Leonard. God, I can't believe I forgot this in there too. He really didn't see George Clooney in that role. He envisioned Jack Nicholson or Sean Connery, which you can kind of see.
Yeah. 10 and 20 years beforehand.
Entertainment Weekly in 2008 ranked this as the #1 in their list of sexiest movies ever.
It's a pretty sexy movie.
Yeah.
She even has that great line, "You really wear that suit."
Yep.
Yep.
All the characters in this movie are well-rounded and perfectly cast, in my opinion. The movie is more character-driven than plot-driven. There is a plot about the criminals planning to rob a wealthy man of priceless diamonds. However, the movie mainly focuses on the dynamic relationships between the characters, with the actual heist taking a backseat.
Yeah, and Steven Soderbergh's made no movies about heists.
None whatsoever. Out of Sight, and that's it.
That was it. He was like, "I'm done with this shit."
This is to quote a review from Emmanuel Levy in Variety. Scripter Scott Frank, who also adapted Get Shorty, and Soderbergh understand that Leonard's forte lies in his sharp, non-judgmental characterization and authentic lingo of lowlifes who are nonetheless immensely appealing. With apparent ease and subtle humor, they've made a film of many priceless scenes. So yeah, I just really love Out of Sight because all the characters just come together and it's just constant like this. And there's so many other, again, it's one of these movies where there's 100 subplots going on simultaneously and they all connect at the end in a house, and the ending just completely takes you by surprise. One other thing about this, Samuel L. Jackson has a brief cameo, did it for free.
Really?
Didn't care. He just loved that part. He said he did it for free.
Huh. All right, here's mine, and this one is one that is not it does have a great cast.
And I'm assuming after James does his last pick, we're going to talk about the one that
we need to talk about the one that we did, because I have a ton of ones on here. We're not going to go through them all.
Yeah.
But the one I want to talk about is Thief with James Caan, directed by Michael Mann.
Oh, okay. I've actually never seen it.
Thief. I'm going to be the only one. I'm going to be the only bonehead who throws out a movie that has the music is by Tangerine Dream.
The hell?
Tangerine Dream, man. Look it up. Google that shit. A highly skilled jewel thief played.
I'm glad you corrected that.
Why would he be a Jew thief? Anyway, longs to leave his dangerous trade and settle down with his girlfriend Jessie, played by the beautiful Tuesday Weld. Eager to make one last big score in order to begin a living, legitimate life, Frank reluctantly associates with Leo, played by the great character actor Robert Prosky. If you don't know who he is, you'll remember him as the guy if you're a horror fan, in Christine, he's the one who runs the garage, who lets him park his car there so he can fix it. Okay. If you're a comedy fan, he's the one that runs the resort in The Great Outdoors.
Okay.
That's Robert Prosky.
Okay.
Great character actor. Totally different, 3 different roles.
Yeah.
Wouldn't even know it. Powerful gangster. Unfortunately for Frank, Leo wants to keep in his employ, resulting in a tense showdown where he finally tries to give up his criminal activities. Now, this is what I call the Michael Mann cliche bullshit plot, right? Most Michael Mann films, this is the same we've talked about Heat, several other ones I could talk about, they have kind of a cliched basic plot. It's the execution of it, the reason why we remember Michael Mann films. And this may very well be one of James Caan's best roles. To me, James Caan's 2 best roles are this and Misery, which is funny because he spends the Misery in the bed. Tons of people, by the way, turned down that role because nobody wanted to lay in the bed. Yeah. The part was for Kathy Bates.
Yeah.
There's tons of leading men in Hollywood who would not take that role. Check it out. It's Thief. Tangerine Dream is very much 80s. Several of Michael Mann's films are very much 80s. You got to remember, not only did he direct this, Manhunter, that which is the first Hannibal Lecter film. For people who don't know, it's based on Red Dragon. That was the first time with William Peterson. He also created a little show called Miami Vice, and it don't get much more 80s.
I almost said Miami Heat.
He also created that as well. It doesn't get much more 80s than that. It also has a great role, one of Willie Nelson's finest performances. He plays his friend who's in prison. Yeah, Willie Nelson. Check it out. Thief. Coming to a theater near you in 1981. Tangerine Dream did the music. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
Now, let's talk about that last one, shall we? Because I could talk about it for an hour and a half.
Well, James, do you have another pick that you want to talk about?
I've got to mention one. I've got to mention one last one because it's probably my son's favorite heist film.
Okay, this isn't going to be the one we're going to talk about. Go ahead.
Shit to break.
It's much like a lot of heist films are. You have an ex-con, and who it may be trying to go straight, but is trying to figure out their way back in the world. They get pulled back in, and then they have to go on one last mission and all of this stuff. It's just that in this film, he shrinks. Ant-Man.
Yeah, Ant-Man was on a lot of lists, and I honestly thought about putting Ant-Man on there, but I didn't.
Ant-Man, I think is, it's most people automatically do comic book film, but I think Ant-Man is a pretty solid heist film, and I think, to be honest, the reason it's that much easier to consider it a heist film is all because of Michael Pena.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just his character and the way he lures him back in, plus just the way that character has to be one of the most fun characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
But if you've not seen Ant-Man, see it. I think the reason it works really well is it does play with a lot of heist, I guess, cliches of, he's out, he has a daughter, he wants to
same bullshit, same plot, but I agree it works.
But it made a part 3.
How come?
Ant-Man 1 and Ant-Man 2 did not produce.
It didn't hit $1 billion.
It didn't hit $1 billion like all the other Marvel movies.
Oddly enough, I just started watching part 2 this afternoon with Quint, and he
Oh.
actually sat there and ate my burrito. Notice how I said my burrito, mine and his mother's. And he would go back and forth taking bites as we were watching it. We just started watching. He got really into it. Yeah, I agree with you, James. I think Ant-Man's a good heist film. And the other one that I don't think people talk about because it's new, and I did leave it off, but it's on a lot of top 10 lists, is Baby Driver.
Yeah.
But
I think about the heist films, like, to be honest, probably one of the reasons I do have such a soft spot for The Sting is it was the first heist film I was allowed to watch.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing in it.
All right, let's talk about the one that we didn't talk about, James. You ready?
I want to know if you're going to do one of my honorable mentions, so you rock on.
This is not an honorable mention. It was mine and Joe's on top of our list, and I guess there was a miscommunication.
I just told you could take it,
and I told you I didn't want it because I wanted to bring up disorganized crime.
All right. Well, if you take what's going to be one of my honorable mentions, because I was going to see if y'all could guess my honorable mention just by naming the cast, but you all rock on, and we'll see if you do.
A Fish Called Wanda.
That's not my honorable mention, but it was one of my honorable mentions.
A Fish Called Wanda is one of the best heist films ever made.
Period.
It's also one of my favorite comedies ever made.
Yes. Period.
It's written by John Cleese. I actually can't remember the director's name. He was an old, angry British dude.
I'll look it up.
Who basically, John Cleese, did several business ventures after being done with Python. And one of them was doing industrial films or training films. Did you know this?
No, I didn't know this.
This is one of his businesses. In fact, you can Google some of the industrial training films that he did.
Huh.
And they would be funny, like HR trainings and things like that. And he used humor. And the guy directed a lot of the videos. Charles Critton. And I think there was a second director who did the pickup sheets because they rewrote the ending.
It's John Cleese is written as the other second director.
Yeah, they changed the ending. So because Fierce Creatures has 2 different directors too, because they reshot like a third of that movie.
Man, I like that movie. I hate that John Cleese doesn't.
Yeah, I like Fierce Creatures too, but I watched it again a while back, and it isn't as funny.
Really?
I enjoyed scenes, but
I've still laughed to this day.
I like parts of it, but Fish Called Wanda is one of my favorite heist films. It's one of my favorite comedies. It's got some of the best performances from everyone in it. That's my favorite Jamie Lee Curtis performance.
Oh, man, Kevin Kline just nailed it.
That's my favorite Kevin Kline performance. And Kevin
Not Wild Wild West?
Amazing actor. Huh?
Not Wild Wild West?
No. Kevin Kline, no, not even. What a piece of shit. Although, I'll give you something. No, you know what? Kevin Kline's not the best part of that movie. You know what the best part of that movie is?
Of what?
Of Wild Wild West.
You're going to say Selma Hayek or no, Kenneth Branagh?
Kenneth Branagh is the best part of that movie.
Okay.
And that one scene where they're making the racist comments back and forth.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, that's the only 2 reasons to watch it. Kenneth Branagh in that one scene.
Ted Levine.
No. No. Go. There are other. Check out Ted Levine in The Mangler. That's more entertaining.
Yeah.
And that's not a good movie.
No, but Fish Called Wanda, man. It's every line in it's funny.
Yeah, he wrote on it. He wrote it for years. He finally got it made. So basic plot is that he plays an uptight British lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
Wanda is played as Jamie Lee Curtis, right?
Yep. No, Wanda's the fish.
But Jamie Lee Curtis's name's what?
I don't know. Look it up. I can't remember.
Doesn't matter. Jamie Lee Curtis and Kevin Kline are hooking up with the one guy, and they're trying to rip him off, and he's robbing somebody, and it doesn't matter, and he gets pinched.
No, she is named Wanda.
She is named Wanda.
That's right, because Michael Palin names the fish
after Wanda because he has a crush.
Yeah. I'm an idiot.
That's okay. Michael Palin has the best stutterer of anyone in film ever.
It's
coming to kill me. Anyway, I could sit here and quote it all day.
Yes.
You just anything to add to it, James?
No, it's a great film. I literally left it off because I figured y'all would do it.
It's probably John Cleese's best performance, and we're talking John Cleese from the Python. What is he better in? I mean, actual 3-dimensional character.
Yellowbeard.
I believe Archie exists.
Yellowbeard.
You don't believe Archie exists? And the thing about Archie, even now, after, what is it, it's been 31 years. That movie's 31 years old. I think it came out in 88.
It still holds up.
The thing that I like about Archie is he's not a good person.
No.
He is married.
Yeah,
with kids. He married wealthy, and he really just wants to fuck Wanda.
that's it.
And he wants to get away from his boring life.
Yep.
And there's never given a reason of his wife's not terrible to him. They have their issues, but I don't see anything. In fact, I don't think he shows her any attention.
No,
Right?
He's bored of his life, so he wants to find adventure. And here's Jamie Lee Curtis.
And here's Jamie Lee Curtis looking all hot and being American.
And I think they have kids too, and he leaves his kid. I mean,
He has kids.
He's
They
leaving his
have
kids.
kids. It's the same thing when Richard Dreyfuss gets on that plane.
I know the girl doesn't. The
daughter.
daughter he's so bad, and he's like just dishing out money for a pony.
I don't remember the pony. Is
maybe
there
I-
a pony subplot?
I don't remember.
I think you added that. I
I
think that's
probably
something
did.
that happened with Haley.
God, I gotta go. What? I gotta go back and watch.
Haley want a pony?
No, she doesn't want a pony. She's scared.
Well,
of horses.
let me talk to her.
I thought you were talking about a producer. That's what confused me. I'm like,
Not
what?
that Haley. Well, she may want a pony too. Who the fuck doesn't want a pony? I don't want.
I don't want.
I don't. There's a lot of upkeep. A lot of upkeep on a pony.
Yeah,
and, and they can kill you. Did you see what they did to poor Nick Offerman?
No, a fish called Wanda. Go out, check it out. I think that's one that probably. I don't know. Do you know people who have seen it?
Yes, you did. But I mean, there's people now who haven't seen it. Yes.
Yeah, it was a huge hit.
Yeah, it was.
Well, obviously, I
It
mean,
was nominated for an Academy Award.
But as that movie gets older,
Didn't he win Best Supporting Actor for that?
Kevin Kline.
Kevin
Yes.
Kline won Best Supporting Actor for that role.
As rightly so. Even though I want to go back and look at the year's nominees to see who else was nominated in that role. But
Are
Kevin,
you saying Marissa Tomei that?
no.
Actually, Marissa Tomei is a wonderful actress.
God,
Yeah.
And my
And she's really good, My Cousin Vinny.
She
People
really
shit
is.
on it, and she's really good. And that movie still holds up.
you mentioned John Cleese. One of my honorable mentions has John Cleese, and I was going to see if y'all could guess what the movie was based on just me naming some of the cast.
What is
It has John Cleese. It has Terry Jones. It has Peter Falk. And let's see. It has Peter Ustinov.
I don't know.
I've already said John Cleese. It has Jack Warden.
Who is it?
It has Robert Morley. And I'm going to give you the two that it should let you guess who it is. Diana Rigg and Charles Grodin.
Oh, the Muppet.
The Great Muppet Caper. It's, again, another one you can watch with kids.
Yeah. Although it's not one of my favorite Muppet movies.
No, it's not one of mine either. Matter of fact, to be honest, I realize it's the one that I haven't seen in the longest.
Yeah, probably me too, James. I prefer Muppets Take Manhattan or Muppet Christmas Carol or the Muppet Movie. Or about damn near any of them over that one.
I like it better than Muppets in Space.
I want to bring this up real quick. So Kevin Kline, Best Supporting Actor in a Leading Role for A Fish Called Wanda. He beat out Alec Guinness for Little Dorrit, Dean Stockwell for Married to the Mob, Martin Landau for Tucker, the Man in His Dream, and River Phoenix for Running on Empty.
Oh, three of those are good roles.
Yeah.
One of them I'm not for sure.
But I'll
about.
just say all those.
Dean Stockwell's really funny and Married to the Mob.
Yeah, but those are all great actors, and Kevin Kline beat him for A Fish Called Wanda.
Yeah.
Well, River Phoenix could win next time.
Oh.
See,
They're probably thinking that.
well, I mean, in
They're
all
in the
fairness,
Viper Room.
Yeah.
That too specific for folk.
and in all fairness, I mean, that's what happens a lot of times. I mean, is Return of the King that much better than Fellowship of the Ring? No, but it's like, well, we've got three movies. We'll catch them.
Yeah. All right. So what are our honorable mentions, James? So yours is that one. What's yours, Chad?
I got a bunch. So you just want me to list them off?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sneakers.
Quick.
I'll enjoy sneakers. I really do. Quick Change.
Quick Change is one of my picks.
Yeah, but that was in our Hidden Gems episode.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't talk about it. Bandits.
I like scenes in it. Billy Bob's good in it.
Sexy Beast.
I like him.
The Brinks Job.
I've never seen it.
Directed by William Friedkin.
I know what you're talking about.
It's Peter Falk. James left. It's Peter Falk. It's based on a real life. It's
Yeah.
really entertaining. I highly recommend people going. It's one of those movies that people forget about. Highly recommend. Heist. David Mamet's Heist with Gene Hackman and David DeVito. The Score.
Yeah.
Henry's Crime with Keanu Reeves and Michael Caine. Three Kings.
Three Kings is an honorable mention for me.
Yes. The Usual Suspects.
Yep.
And The Lady Killers.
Which version? Both.
Both, but I prefer the Coen brothers.
Have you seen the original?
I've seen it a long time ago, but the Coen brothers version is just so weird.
Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3,
What? That was not on my damn list. I can't believe I forgot about the Taking.
directed by Joseph Sargent, the original one. That's another all-star cast.
Yes.
The other one
Which, by the way, the cast of that movie would not be cast today.
no,
No.
Walter Matthau would not be a star today.
No.
No. Carl Malden, no.
Yeah, no.
Carl Malden in that? I think so. I can't remember. Anyway, the other one is a recent one, Hell or High Water. I love
with
High
Chris
Water.
Pine and
Chris Pine. Yeah.
God, that's a good movie.
That is a good movie. And quick change. Oh, The Killing. Stanley Kubrick's The Killing with Sterling Hayden. By the way, speaking of Sterling Hayden, I just finished up today while he was taking a nap. I got him done for a nap, and I'm cleaning here now, so I'm having my staff over tomorrow. And guess what I finished watching?
What?
The Long Goodbye. And I didn't know Sterling Hayden is the drunk author in it.
Oh, really?
Yes, the tall guy with the beard. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'd never seen it. The Raymond Chandler of The Long Goodbye. You recommended it, and it was in our PI episode.
Oh, the Elliot Ness one. No, not Elliot Ness. Elliot Gould.
Elliot Gould.
Yeah. Oh,
you said you really liked it.
So Philip Marlowe.
Yeah, I liked it.
But in terms of who played Philip Marlowe the best,
I still agree with what I said.
Okay, just curious.
Yeah. I still, yeah.
I disagree.
And the other one would be, and like I said, the last one is The Killing with Sterling Hayden and Stanley Kubrick.
The one that I didn't put on my list, and I'll just mention that real quick. Dead Presidents.
Really?
I enjoyed it.
Okay. What do you got? Mentions? Should we wrap up? All right, James.
I've got one, and I can't remember the name of it, and it's driving me crazy. Well, because I saw it in theaters and I liked it, and it always reminds me of The Sting.
Crossroads is not a heist movie,
isn't it? Didn't they steal our? Didn't they steal our hearts?
I don't know why. Britney Spears' Road movie came in my head.
You know, there's an actual other movie called Crossroads.
Oh, I'm sure there's like several movies called Crossroads.
I didn't even think about the Britney Spears one.
I don't know why it came in my head.
I don't know why that's the one you thought of.
I don't know either. I'm kind of concerned.
I was thinking about him making a deal with a demon. All right. Well,
what's the movie? You probably can remember it before I can, because I watched it in theaters. I liked it. It's not one of my favorites, though, obviously, since I'm blanking on the title. But where the line is, never trust a redhead. And it's how the guy lives his entire life as he's trying to do this con.
Never trust a redhead?
Oh, hold on.
I mean, if we're doing con movies, we could have talked about Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
Yeah, or Match.
No, but I mean, he's doing a heist.
Is it the one with Will Smith?
Will Smith?
Yeah, there's a con movie too. Where's what was that called?
Mm-hmm.
Margot Robbie.
6 Degrees of Separation. No. Oh no, I don't know.
I saw it and I don't remember the name of it. I just remember the one scene. All right, doesn't matter. So
that was our heist episode.
James has just dropped the ball from this.
No, it's gonna drive me nuts. I'm gonna.
All right. Well, while he's looking that up, I do want to say thank you to Scarefest and Wicked World for having me out last night. Thank you so much. It was nice to stop by and talk for 10 minutes, basically, and that was it. And I'm pretty sure you can't see anything on the video because it was dark outside.
Yeah.
We probably should have thought of that. Of course, I wasn't in charge. However, go out and check out Wicked World. Caitlin Marie Jones, she was on our show before.
Yep.
And they do a great job. Go out. If it's Halloween season right now, we're going to probably do some sort of Halloween episode as we're getting closer to it.
No, we have to.
Yeah, we always enjoy doing them anyway. We love horror movies. So check those out. Subscribe.
Which, by the way, maybe in that episode I'll talk about, I just recently watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. I have thoughts.
You'd never seen
No,
Texas
I've
Chainsaw
seen it many times, but it's the first time recently, like in the past 5 years, I've watched it. We'll talk about it.
I hope
Confidence, by the way.
We'll talk about it.
Confidence.
What?
The movie is Confidence.
Confidence?
Yes, Edward Burns.
Yeah, I don't know why I don't like Edward Burns. Tell me. Why don't I like you, Edward Burns?
Edward Burns, Rachel Wise, Morris Chestnut, and and Paul Giamatti. Paul Giamatti is great.
Saving Private Ryan.
No.
I like the one with that Fraser's dad in it. The brothers something.
Oh, Brothers McMillan?
Maybe.
McMillan?
Maybe.
Anyway.
McMillan and wife. All right. Thank you so much. This has been James.
Huh?
I was
Bonehead.
else to say so. Tune in to Bonehead. That was our
Why
episode.
did you wave?
Because I don't want them to remember
by the
this
way-
episode ending.
Tune into Bonehead. They've already tuned in.
They could tune in again. Watch the episode.
Tune in next time. How about next time?
We could also do that, or they could rewatch this episode a million times.
You could. Are they
Oh,
relaunching
okay.
Amazing Stories?
What?
Edward Burns has the credit for the upcoming TV series Amazing Stories.
Okay.
All
Filming
right.
now.
Bye,
Thanks.
everybody.
Bye, everybody. Let's push stop on this recording video.